Part 3. Sensory practice to develop your palate. That's why we are here. You have all the background information now, the foundation. We know where the aromas are coming from, where the tastes are coming from, where the mouthfeel are coming from. Now, how do we train ourselves to identify those aromas in a glass? So again, it's about consistent sensory practice, and consistent doesn't mean drinking a lot of expensive bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon. It means working on specific components to really memorize them and help your brain and your sense of smell and taste to identify them in a glass of wine. So we are moving from the foundation to the at-home practice. So the first thing that we want to make sure is that you select 3 to 6 descriptors of Cabernet Sauvignon that you want to learn in the coming weeks. And here's a list of all the possible descriptors, and I will put that in the Curious Palates community. And you can select the aromas and other perceptions that you want to learn, to identify in a glass of wine. One aspect that you may consider when selecting the descriptors is, what style do I want to explore? Do I want to look more into the cool climate or warmer climate, or do I want to be able to contrast the two? So that's also something that you might want to consider before choosing those descriptors. So all you have to do is figure out, what do I want to learn to identify in a glass of Cabernet, and how I'm going to learn. And we are learning with what we call product references, product that exhibit the same aroma or the same perception than what you will have in the glass of wine. Because you cannot see peach floating in a glass of Cabernet or cassis berries floating. It's just the aroma compounds are the same from the cassis fruit and the cassis aroma in wine. There's the same compound, but you cannot see cassis in wine. So you have to train your nose to recognize cassis with the real fruit or products that are flavored with cassis. And I just take cassis as an example. So that's the goal for week 3, is to have secured those product references. And I like to show these pictures where members of the community are choosing their different product references. That can be raw products or infusions of products in wine, so that the infusion has the particular aroma or taste that you want to learn to identify. And it's really one product reference for one descriptor. And I give you all these instructions in the community on how to train your nose. And then we conclude the month with a tasting, where I invite you to choose wine or a comparative tasting of two different Cabernet Sauvignon wine, and I provide you with the tasting procedure. And it's really about letting the wine express itself, so that you can really describe what you sense, not looking for specific things, but really see if the aromas or taste that you have learned over the past few days are there in the glass of wine. And sometimes they are, sometimes they don't, but at least you have familiarized yourself, your senses and your brain, to be able to say, well, confidently, it's there or it's not there. So that's the principle of sensory practice, is to train your senses and your brain to identify those different aromas and tastes first on actual products before being able to move to the wine context. And I have only 1 minute, but I wanted to give you a gift today, because I've been hosting this monthly training for a while, and I finally created trackers that you can use to help you with your training at home. So I have created a sensory planner to make it easier to practice for you. So it's a planner that you can download, and it gives you all the instructions, or give you instructions to choose 6 descriptors among this list that is quite comprehensive, and you can choose the one that you want. I usually say not more than 6, otherwise you confuse all your senses. I give you the protocol on how to do that every day, and I advise at least 7 days. You do what you can in your busy schedule. And then I give you instructions on how to randomize, the order. So let's say you have 6 descriptors. I give you instructions on choosing 3 descriptors every day to train with the product references, and you can do your plan. And every day you will have, these are the 3 descriptors that I'm training on. And then for each descriptor, you will have the process to go through to smell the descriptor, because most of you are going to work on aromas, memorize the perceptions, take some notes here, memorize the name. And it's really the practice of smelling, associated the name and smelling that will help build this neural pathway and reinforce your memory so that you can identify those perceptions in the glass of wine. So I will have that for you in the community. But I hope the paper planner will help you, be more consistent in your sensory practice so that you can take notes every day and do what it takes to do your practice. Just one last thing, if you are not a member of the Curious Palates community and are intrigued and want to join us for training your nose and training your palate, you can scan the QR code. And with that, I want to check if there are any questions. And Marita, what a good base red wine to use for these? It might surprise you, but I use white wine for all the product references because it's difficult to find a red wine that is very neutral in flavors. You want a wine that that is not very flavorful or astringent. It has to be neutral. So no dominant flavor. And Pinot Grigio, some Pinot Grigios are very bland. I mean, it's not negative. It works very well for product references. They don't have dominant aromas. They don't have dominant taste, and they work perfectly. In terms of red wine, it could be maybe a generic Pinot Noir, but you will have to smell and taste so that it's not too overwhelming. You want something that is not too strong in taste or flavor. Thank you so much for staying until this minute with me. I really enjoy having you here, and I will see you in the community. Let's train our palate on Cabernet Sauvignon sensory qualities this month.